Happy Friday, hot news frienderinos. Welcome back to the tech news that's on the internet. We're finally getting monitors that we have needed for quite some time. Nvidia is apparently making Super Series. AMD is making things wait longer, and Nintendo look like they're going to make a 4K Switch. We'll talk about all that after we talk about what today is for Sigmatic Friday. It's my favorite coffee on the face of the planet. It has mushrooms in it. Yes, I know. I hear the jokes. I read them. Oh, you look like you're on mushrooms. You're acting like you're on mushrooms. Listen, they're not that kind of mushroom. This is the kind of mushroom that you would potentially eat. That's the idea. Not that type of eat. Anyways, Four Sigmatic puts culinary mushrooms into their coffee, and I absolutely love them for it. You don't taste it. That's the big thing. That's the big question that I always get asked. Is it something that changes the taste? No, it tastes like a normal dark roast coffee, but it has added benefits. At least anecdotally, I always feel more alert and more focused after drinking a cup of Four Sigmatic versus other coffee that I happen to consume. They also have other options, such as their mushroom cacao mix, which I take when I'm ready to go to bed because it puts me in a nice chillax mood at the end of the day to just fall into my nothingness, also known as sleeping. I've introduced Four Sigmatic to a lot of people. They always come back saying that they love it. So you can check it out for yourself down below in the link in the video description. Use coupon code UFDTech to save 10% off this Four Sigmatic Friday, my friends. Check it out, enjoy some good coffee, and let's enjoy some good tech news because CES has officially kicked off, and we're not gonna go through all of the keynote stuff that's been going on, just the highlights here and there. But the big one that popped up from Acer is that they are finally, somebody is unveiling and debuting and hopefully gonna come out with soon a brand new monitor with HDMI 2.1. There's been a couple monitors that have said that they're gonna have it, but nothing has hit the market as of yet. But this first Acer Nitro is gonna do it for us. It's actually a pretty impressive spec sheet. $900, which is not impressive. 28-inch 4K display, IPS 144 hertz, 90% of the DCI-P3 color space, as well as HDMI 2.1, which is the big part there, but also a 100 million to 1 contrast ratio, which is crazy on an IPS. That seems like a really solid monitor all around. Hopefully it comes out sometime soon so that we can take advantage of HDMI 2.1. Now that it's on all the new graphics cards, now that it's on all the new consoles, we should actually be able to use it. Thank you, Acer, for revealing this to us. And there's some information we have to talk about it. I know we can't get the GPUs right now, but there's more information coming out on the Super Series of cards, which we wouldn't expect to come out till like the end of this year, maybe beginning of next year. Anyways, the indication is that maybe Nvidia is not going to do Super for all of the cards and only the 3070 and 3080, so that would be it. And it's not quite known if this is replacing the Ti. Is it the 3070 Super instead of the Ti? What is happening? It's just, goodbye this article. It's just, it's so hard to deal with. Anyways, in case you wanted a more affordable AMD card, looks like you're gonna have to wait a little while longer for that because according to new reports, it's gonna be a delay. We were originally expecting the 6700 class of AMD cards to come out sometime towards the end of this month. It looks like that's likely going to be the end of March instead, which means that just GPUs are gonna constantly be delayed and go up in price and be delayed and shortage and more money, and you can't afford it anyways. It's just a never-ending suck cycle. Speaking of suck cycle, let's get back to CES. We're going to talk about Lenovo for a second because they had a couple products that I kind of want to go over quickly. Number one is this Lavi device, Lavi, however you want me to pronounce it. I know you don't want me to pronounce it. The Lavi Mini is a modern netbook that doubles as a gaming console. You can see right here, it's got all of the little bits, bobs, and doodads, and then you go ahead and slide on the controller there, and it also has a keyboard in case you want to use that, and the little nub right there for the trackpad, which is just ridiculous. It has really weird specs. It's got an i7 1180 G7 and 16 gigs of RAM and a 1900 by 1200 display, 256 gig SSD. It's kind of an okay thing. I'm really slightly upset that they're using Intel instead of AMD because AMD's APUs are vastly superior to what Intel has on the graphics side of thing, like to the tune where you're losing a lot of graphical performance by going to Intel. So it just frustrates me a little bit right now, and they're apparently going to be coming out with a dock that has extra USB ports, HDMI out, and as they say right here in this article, 4K 60 gameplay on your television. Yeah, with the Tiger Lake integrated graphics. Oh yeah, good luck with that, friend. But now let's talk about Lenovo and their Yoga 7. Can you read this? Read this title. Can flip between landscape and portrait modes. What was Quibi on to? This is 2 days in a row we're talking about something that can flip between landscape and portrait modes. What did Quibi know? Did they know these were coming out? Is that what's happening? And then Lenovo never actually released it, and that, like, they got cold feet because of freaking COVID, and so Quibi was like, we have something that can rotate, and everybody was like, that's stupid, we don't do that with our phones. And you're like, not yet, you're gonna do that with your desktop and with your television. Was Quibi a soothsayer? Huh? Did they know? Do I miss Quibi? Should we bring them back? No! I don't know. Let's move on before I have to contemplate my future. Noctua is contemplating their future and saying that it's going to be a little bit delayed. The passive heatsink that was supposed to release in Q1 of 2021 has now slipped to Q2 of 2021. So in case you were expecting that by March, sorry friends. And Silverstone says sorry to noise, goodbye. They're releasing their 700 watt 80 plus titanium passive power supply. That means that it does not have an active cooling solution. It is completely silent. But Mercedes-Benz doesn't want to be silent. They want to be all up in your noise with this massive 56-inch Hyperscreen for their upcoming future electric car future thing that they're doing. Look at this. It's got so many OLED screens you can't even see it. And it's 56 inches. What? Oh my gosh. Instead of like creating a simple solution and like creating a cluster, just creating an OLED display here and an OLED display here, like where you need them, like Tesla and Porsche do, they're just like, no, I want the whole thing in OLED screen. That's my impersonation of whoever is at Mercedes-Benz. Apparently it's going to be run on an 8-core CPU and 24 gigs of RAM. That is wild. They also use the buzzword of integrating AI so that it knows what you want, and the computer knows you better than you know yourself. You want your seat at 77 degrees Celsius? No. You get it at 1,000. Speaking of ridiculously overkill massive extravaganzas of wealth, China has started to break ground on its nearly $1 billion eSports stadium in Shanghai. It's going to be called the Shanghai International New Cultural and Creative Esports Center. I mean, essentially this thing is just, it's going to cost 5.8 billion Chinese yuan, which is $900 million, which is crazy, and it's going to cover 500,000 square meters. What? That's like 0.2 square miles. I converted it in Google. I don't know how to do math like that, but this is just an audacious show of force and wealth, and goodness gracious, League of Legends really got to them. Speaking of audacious shows of force and wealth, Microsoft apparently tried to buy Nintendo before making the Xbox. This got recorded in Xbox, the oral history of an American video game empire. We'll leave a link in the video description in case you want to read the whole thing. Anyways, in the report, it says that when Microsoft asked Nintendo, hey, can we buy you? They just laughed their asses off. Like, imagine an hour of somebody just laughing at you. That's kind of how the meeting went. He went on to say that the basic pitch was, yo, Nintendo, your hardware is anus compared to Sony, but you're really good at making video games that people like that rat that everybody, the cartoon rat, right? And all of the, it's me, Mickey Mouse.
Don't ever do that again.
Anyways, clearly it didn't go through, but maybe they should have had Microsoft take over the hardware production, because we wouldn't have been into 2021 still running on a Maxwell switch. A chip that came out 5 years ago. Anyways, let's not get into that. There's some data mining stuff that's come out about the Switch Pro. It looks like it's gonna have an OLED screen, potentially support 4K, and a substantially better battery life according to the information that was found in there. It's gonna have a 4K UHD multimedia SoC, which likely means that it will not have a 4K screen on the actual Switch, but rather when you dock it, it can support 4K content, whether that be with, nope, it doesn't support Netflix, never mind that. Well, it's gonna have OLED, which will help with battery life, and then hopefully a bigger battery and just more enhancements overall. And hey, if you just, if you get off Maxwell and you just maybe even go to Pascal, or maybe even Turing, or maybe Ampere, you would see architectural efficiencies that would increase your battery life. Maybe if you weren't using a Tegra Maxwell chip, you wouldn't have battery life issues in the first place. Nintendo maybe should have thought of that, and Waymo thought that they should change their naming schemes of how they drive their cars, because it's not self-driving anymore. No, my friends. You can't call it that. It's fully autonomous driving right now. They say it may seem like a small change, but we see that automakers use the term self-driving in an inaccurate way, giving consumers and the general public a false impression of the capabilities of driver assist. We want to be separated from that. How dare they? Talking about the other company that's working on fully autonomous driving, or autopilot, whatever you want to call it. Elon Musk is apparently now the world's most valuable man, not the world's richest, person because this is really essentially his stocks are worth a lot. But if Elon Musk sold all of his stocks, then Tesla's stock price would plummet because people would be like, why the hell is he selling all of his stocks? What's wrong? So his value is dependent on the stocks. Anyways, he's worth more than Jeff Bezos now at $185 billion. Put this into stark contrast. A year ago, he was in the top 50 worth about $25 billion. And now he's the world's most valuable man, not world's richest, because he doesn't have as much disposable cash, right? Like, he just came into all this money because he could exercise the stock options once Tesla passed a certain market cap, which it did, but he can't sell it. He can't use it. He's just valuable, but the company is only worth $760 billion as opposed to Amazon's $1.6 trillion, which this is just, I'm going to go on a few second rant here, right? Like, Amazon's market cap is about double what Tesla's is. You're telling me that if Tesla disappeared, they would have half the influence of Amazon disappearing from the globe. I don't see that. The stock market can remain irrational longer than I can remain solvent. Anyways, Spotify is gonna become rational by changing their Carplay design, which has been desperately needed. It's terrible. Anyways, they're noticing that there's beta versions coming out and they're gonna actually hopefully fix the garbage app, and PUBG is gonna fix it's not garbage. Anyways, they're going to be coming out with a sequel, PUBG 2 being teased, which is not the same as PUBG Mobile 2. It's going to be something different. Anyways, it's apparently going to be a next gen game for PC, console, and mobile that will be cross-platform, which is neat. But I just have to say, didn't NVIDIA say that PUBG was going to be next gen back in 2018, September 12th, 2018? PUBG is going to be a DLSS game. It's going to be an RTX based game. Well, there was this Reddit thread that came out in November where it was just like, hey, when was this ever going to get added? And according to the actual people who work at PUBG, there's no information on DLSS. This is never coming out. NVIDIA's list that they published was just a bunch of malarkey. And so is this episode of Hot News. So I'm going to end it. Don't forget to pick up Four Sigmatic for Four Sigmatic Fridays. Don't forget to use coupon code UFDTech to save 10% off on your order and save yourself from the world and retreat into the shell of your humanity. I've been Brett. You've been Newsed. Thank you for watching. Goodbye. Check it out. Check it out. We're Quibi soothsayers. What's Quibi? Owie wowie, my bum's on fire. That's cursed.